Hi, so this is a quick intro to NATS by example. The motivation of this resource is to collect a set of reference examples across languages and runtimes that NATS supports, and to ensure that these are high quality and runnable examples. So every example is written in such a way that can be run in a container. It's packaged up in a container, and using this MBE command line utility that is provided in the repository, you can simply call run and define the name of the example, and it will actually spin up at least one container to run the example. And I will demonstrate this in a minute or two. So the first thing you can do to kind of get started with this resource is simply to go to the website natsbyexample.com. We can go into one of the examples, and every example has pretty much the same basic structure. It just has a description that kind of highlights what you should learn, what you should take away from this example. So for the core NATS core publish subscribe, you should get a quality of a service of at most once messaging, for example, so you can understand that. You can switch between various client implementations, so whether that's per language or per runtime, for example, with Dino and Node. Other implementations will be added over time. You have a link to the source code, so if we click there, it'll hop right to the repository in the source code. All examples are under the examples directory, following the convention of category, example name, and then the implementation. So if we go under PubSub, you can see the different implementations that correspond to what you see on the website. If we go down to the code, we can see the comments have been pulled out on the left and rendered as markdown, and the code snippets are on the right hand side. So this is just personal preference. If you prefer to read your code this way, this can be nice. Otherwise, you can hop back to the repository. Another neat feature of the website is that it actually also demonstrates the execution of the code. So this is using ASCII Cinema. I don't know if that's the right pronunciation, but it allows you to record a terminal session. So it shows if you were to use NATS run, or MBE run, it'll actually run the containers, as I said, execute the script in this case, and produce the output. If you prefer the static output, that's also rendered here to view. So if we go to a little bit more complicated example, we can look at like setting up a leaf node connection with JW2E auth as an example. It uses different tools and things like that. This one gets a little bit more involved, spinning up the container. But again, the whole point of this resource is to learn and to kind of get a working example that you can build upon. So that leads me to sort of the better half of this resource, which is the fact that all of these examples are runnable. So if we go over to our terminal, the current dependencies to use this repo and to run the examples include the command line utility, which you can download from the repo under the releases tab. You have to clone the repo, and you have to have Docker installed. Other container runtimes may be supported in the future if there's like a demand from the community. I know Podman is coming up in popularity. But at this point, once you're in the repo and you have the command line tool installed, you can literally run, do MBE run and the name of the example. That will build the image. It will run a Docker Compose network, including the NAT server and the example code itself. And then it will obviously print out the print statements or the log statements. So the real power, in my opinion, is that now that you have this repo cloned, you can actually go in and change it. You can futz around with it. And so I can just add a couple more, let's say like another publish, another subscribe, next message statement or call, and I save it, and then I can rerun the example. It rebuilds the image, and you will see the effect of your code change right there. So it provides a very kind of quick feedback loop, so you can have this nice starting reference example, you can build upon it, you can tweak it, and you can hopefully learn from it. So from there, if you have any recommendations, suggestions, example ideas, things like that, feel free to open up an issue in the repository. And that's really it. Thanks for taking the time.